Neurofeedback today. I realize this is my 13th session, not including the quantitative EEG that is like the first thing that happens so that you can get a game plan together for your treatment. 13 times. And I just want to take a second and say that I'm really proud of myself for my consistency and my openness and willingness to do this and be like, I feel really solid about the slow incremental change over time, and knowing that taking the steps is working. I feel like an older version of myself, well, a younger version of myself from the past, would have kind of balked at the amount of time I would need to commit to this in order to see changes. But knowing that I am making really positive changes with the consistency that I'm working through, it really makes me come back to my mantra: the only way out is through. And knowing that, okay, well, it took 35 years to get to the place where I'm at anxiety-wise now. It's going to take a while to undo that, to unlearn it and learn healthier behaviors. And I'm just having a moment right now of a lot of gratitude about how far I've come, and I'm feeling empowered and strong and happy. Today, we discussed a little bit beforehand. I was like, well, can we make the Jetsons full screen today instead of having it like 3/4 of the screen Jetsons and then a quarter of it being the barometer and the meter of what we're seeing, what's being gauged? And he said yes. However, there is benefit of knowing that, yes, every time you blink, it's going to spike. He's like, that's going to happen regardless, right? So he's like, for the first 15 minutes, I'm going to do full screen, and then I'll come in and we'll make it what we've been doing, that size, so you can see the thing for the second 15 minutes, and we'll compare. And I was like, science experiment, love that. And what I found interesting was my thought process was, okay, being able to not see the barometer change and spike as I blink, right? Because that's one of the variables. He calls them artifacts within the session. He's like, you're going to be able to see it or hear the ding if it does ping, because it's like when it like gets very high, it'll make a sound. He's like, that's going to happen either way. You can see it or not. And what I saw when we looked over it at the end of session was that the full screen was actually more difficult for me, anxiety marker wise, than the not full screen, me being able to see it. So I'm sure there's kind of like a comfort level of knowing and seeing, like I've been, right, doing the other 12 sessions. And so the change of that may have been part of it. But also, it was just something that was different, and as much as I thought it would help me focus more just on being present in the moment at the show and not like glancing over every time it spiked when I blinked, he was reminding me, Steve was like, well, there is power in being able to acknowledge something. So I believe he said it was the parietal lobe, where things that happen in our day-to-day, like you don't always feel your clothing on your skin, right? It's there and the sensation is there, but the parietal lobe is like, you don't need to, this is unimportant, so I'm not going to bring it to the forefront. So it's like you can't really feel it unless you focus on it, right? So it's a similar, like in your home, like there's a sound of like the air conditioner going on or something. So it's all the things, the sensations with your senses that your parietal lobe is hearing or feeling or sensing or seeing, but not drawing attention to it, is, superpower of that part of your brain where it's like, I don't need to bring this to her attention. Because think about it, if you were always inundated with all of the sensations at all times, it'd be extremely overwhelming, right? But the important ones, or the ones relevant to what you're focusing on, those are the ones that your brain is going to say, oh, hey, look at this. And then if I were to focus on, is the refrigerator making a sound? And I really listen for it, yeah, I would hear it. But like in the day-to-day of that. So basically what he's saying with this newer stage of the treatment that we're in, where we moved from where the initial one was my forehead for that first anxiety marker, and this one is on my temple, acknowledging that different things, like the artifacts, the variables within it, will maybe trigger something. And then I feel like then my anxiety will go, oh, do I need to control this? Should I be doing something different? Uh-oh, this is different, right? So it's like I need to let myself like regulate and normalize the new thing that's happening, right? So acknowledging this is happening, but I am choosing to let my focus stay in the present moment on the show. And that's okay. So it's like, he's like, that you'll find in your life, in your day-to-day, in whatever you're doing, that will then bleed over. You'll see. He's like, you'll notice this happen the more we follow through with the treatment, and then it will become second nature for you to be able to focus on something regardless of the distractions, regardless of the things you're choosing to focus here. So this was a good practice in that. And today the anxiety marker for I almost just said the yellow one, but y'all haven't seen that. That doesn't make any sense to you. The one that we really were focusing on in the first chunks of session, and now we've moved on. So we were focusing on the yellow, and now we're focusing on the orange. And there's definitely more scientific parts, and obviously like different parts of my brain, different things that we're working on, that I'm sure I've really told y'all in previous diary entries here. But at any rate, the one from the first check of sessions was higher today than it was yesterday, for whatever reason. And I think honestly part of it was the changing of having it full screen and then going down to, so I didn't feel it, but it was there, slightly heightened, but it was incremental, which is great. It was not like a massive spike in it. And the way I responded and the way I reacted to that is what I'm really excited about and counting as a huge win, because it wasn't negative self-talk. There was no type of even like, oh no, it went up again, it's not down, you know. I didn't freak out about it. I didn't have a moment of fear or trepidation that, oh no, maybe I'm doing something wrong, or I should have done something different. It was, I accept this as it is. There are many variables going into this. It was incremental. I'll work on it next time when my brain continues to unlearn bad habits and learn new habits. Like, it was so refreshing to have that feedback from the session and be like, okay, like, that's a huge win. So overall today was wonderful, and I feel like between the session yesterday and today, I'm back in the groove of going, back in the swing of things. And for the rest of this month, all of next month, and all of March, I already have, for the next 3 months, I've got all my appointments scheduled with him. And there's only, I think, 2 weeks within the next 3 months that I won't be going at all because of vacations. So that's also really exciting, knowing that now that the holidays are through and everything, it's going to be more consistent. And I'm just really excited about the future, which is another thing that it's not anxiety about what will happen in the future. It's excitement about forward motion and like upward trajectory of awesome. And I feel very much at peace about